Good morning, everyone. So today, I'm finally going to get around to putting my boost controller on. Just go ahead and heads up now. The first part of this video is just going to be me kind of explaining boost controllers and the different types and how they work, because there's a lot of videos that don't really explain it very well. So I'm just going to do a quick kind of summary of it, because I think it's important to know how different ones work and function for your specific set. So yeah, let me go ahead and just kind of grab some stuff and get it all together, and then we'll start this video. All right. Okay, so currently it's like this, right? This is a 38 mil 2-port wastegate. Now it's considered a 2-port because there's ports on the bottom and ports on the top. There's a diaphragm here in the middle, which is how it all works with the spring that sits inside. It is considered a 2-port, even though there's 4 ports, but it's called that because there's one on the bottom. There's ports on the bottom and ports on top. Okay. This is plumbed in here. The top of my ports are completely open. Okay? There's nothing in there on either one. Okay. And it's going to remain like that. It's going to stay like that for the current setup, and I'll explain why. Down here on the compressor housing, right there, that's called a boost reference point right here. You kind of see it right there. Now, your cheaper turbos don't typically have that there, which leads me to believe this isn't as cheap of a turbo as I was led to believe, because they don't typically have the boost reference points. Now, this setup here, where it's directly from the boost reference port to the bottom port on the wastegate, this is what people mean when they say they're running on just gate, right? So it's an 8-pound spring inside. That's what mine is, 8. When the turbo makes boost, the compressor makes boost, it's sending it directly to the gate. That's it. There's nothing else in between. The gate will start to open. This is, again, 8-pound spring. So the gate will start to open at about 2, and it'll be halfway open at 4. That's the problem. So once the gate begins to open about halfway, it's now no longer sending the exhaust it needs to spin the turbo. It sucks. That's just kind of what happens. So that's why you either do what's called, I think it's called like an add-a spring or like a supporting spring, whatever. It makes it so it stays closed longer. Or you do what I'm about to do, which is boost controller. Now, it's over here, right? I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. This is called a MAC valve. See? MAC, right there. A lot of companies make them. AEM is your most common, or MAC. This is a MAC 3-port solenoid. Now, each of these ports do different things, okay? So the way I'm going to have this plumbed, because I'm not sending any boost to the top of the wastegate, okay? I'm going to have it plumbed like this. Put a picture right here, okay? Like that. That's just going to be plumbed. All this is doing is it means that, so when I said earlier about how the gate opens at a low PSI, okay? When the turbo starts making boost, it starts making positive vacuum. The wastegate's getting hit constantly the whole time. So because it's an 8-pound spring, it's going to start to compress a little bit. That's what causes the gate to open. So by adding a boost controller, this is kind of overkill for what I'm going for here, but this wasn't my intentional way of doing this originally. And then I decided it's better to do it this way. So we are going to be running a line from the turbo to the MAC valve, and then from the from the wastegate to the MAC valve. And what this is going to do is the MAC valve is going to read how much pressure it has on it. And as the turbo is making pressure, once the MAC valve reads, I'm going to have it set to about 8 PSI, it's going to open and then allow the wastegate to open. You're going to, depending on your motor and your setup, there's a chance that your exhaust gases could have enough back pressure that it's going to open the wastegate anyway. It might happen here. I don't know. But that's typically that's what the setup's for. So, you know, like the little cheap ones where it's like the manual booster with the screws? Same exact concept. This will just be easier to control. I've put the push to connect fitting down here, which this is a kit from Burton Racing. I bought it a long time ago. Had to do some things with it because for some reason this is getting so hot here, like up here, that it was actually melting. It was actually melting these fittings. It was melting the fittings and melting the line. Sorry about that. There's been a lot of activity where I live, and a lot of noise. It's just kind of what's going on. So I keep cutting the camera because of it. But I did some stuff off camera. I'm actually replacing a temp sensor right now, so that's what that is. Mac valve here is formed. It's wired. I extended the wires to here, and then I'm going to go through the process of getting them hooked up on the ECU, which I'll show later. But it's a little bracket made and everything. So the front port runs straight to the wastegate, like in that picture. This port, the side, runs to the compressor housing. And then this is just a vent right here. So once this side reads the boost that I want, it'll open and then allow it to go to the wastegate and allow the wastegate to open. I got some protectant for heat for the against the dump tube. Same for here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So now I just got to finish replacing this temp sensor, which is being a huge pain in the butt. See it back there? See that guy right there? Yeah, it's very hard to get to. But I got a new OEM one here. Well, new-ish. One that I know works. So, yeah, I'm going to work on replacing that because I got to get that done. And then I'm going to cut to, with the laptop, getting everything hooked up and figured out, and then walk you through that. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut to that now. Hey guys, so I'm inside now. Going through the computer, and I've been messing with it outside when I was in the actual car. And this is where you would go to control it. You would actually go into the parameters tab, and there's a boost control option. And you would go through and you would enable, and then it allows you to, you can fix it with a fixed duty cycle. You can have gear based, or you can have like gear based target boost, which is boost by gear, which is kind of super nice. And you can change it depending on what kind of cylinders you have and the pressures and everything's of that manner. But I'm actually having a weird problem. I have it wired up correctly, but it's not engaging. And it got dark and cold outside. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna it's not gonna stress about it. Right now I have it to where it's as if the gauge isn't even, or the solenoid's even there. So it's essentially still running on gate pressure. I'm gonna mess with it more tomorrow and see if I can figure out why the solenoid's not actuating like it's supposed to. And yeah, I'm gonna work on getting that figured out. But that's the walkthrough. Now, if you have an S300, which you would have to be able to use S300 tuning software, the company Burton Racing, which is who made my Boost by Gear kit, they have a fantastic video that you can go and watch, and it'll actually kind of walk you through wiring it up to the ECU and going through the correct pinouts. I would recommend watching their video. I'll tag it in the description because it goes through a couple different kinds of ECUs depending on what you're running and what system you have. Now I have a P28 with a jumper harness, and mine is set to run through A11, which is the EGR plug, since I don't have an EGR system anymore. That's where mine is. Now, depending on if you have a P70, a P30, any of the other kinds of setups, it might change. I'm not going to say it will. It could be exactly the same. Based on this software, it's saying that it's A11 on all of them, but A11, I guess, could be different depending on what the ECU is. So, do your own research on that part. But that's the gist of it. So I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all of the love and support that I'm getting. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day.